Syngenta works with several universities to study how to better grow our food, including Kansas State's Beef Cattle Institute. Liz Hunt is head of sustainable and responsible business for Syngenta and explains what farmers can do to focus on sustainability.
I think one of the things that complicates everything in sustainability is we think about you've got to do all these things and it's got to be really hard and really complex. But one of my coworkers and I always talk, I'm like, it can be just one thing. Just like, we were talking about running. I can do just one thing to improve. You could just start doing a 5K to get started.
Right.
And I think that that's also key to keep in mind with sustainable agriculture as well. So there can be really simple things. It can be like doing good record keeping, right? Adopting a farm management software where you can start to understand what are you doing, how did that apply to the outcomes, looking at your ROI, looking at environmental outcomes, looking at productivity. All of that can come from good record keeping. So that can be a really relatively easy first step for farmers to take. Or, for example, the work that we did with Kansas State here at their research institute was working with our Enogen for feed corn and identifying from that research that from beef cattle fed with Enogen feed, there's a 5% feed efficiency. So then changing a variety is an emotional decision, but we're not buying new equipment. We're not making drastic changes. We're going to research, we're going to understand how that fits into your operation, and you can get environmental sustainability benefits from just one thing. It doesn't have to be a whole systems change. You can look at what is one thing that you can adopt. Again, something as easy as record keeping, to more complex adoption of practices. But you don't have to, boil the ocean in 1 year, to make changes. There's lots of benefits that can come from just starting to understand where you're at and what are some simple things you can do.
So if you were a producer, like how that's one thing, right? And obviously you have, feed people that you work with and seed people that you work with. But, is there a way to help start to understand these things if you were a producer? I mean, just one thing, right? If you were going to pick out that one thing, is it go to extension? What would you say?
Yeah, I always think farmers working with whoever their trusted advisor is, whether they're their crop advisor, their ag retailer, their nutritionist, start having those conversations, right? Once you start to have that conversation, you can start to identify what makes sense for you. Sustainability is not a one-size-fits-all solution, and you need to find out what's going to work for you and your operation and have those discussions with your trusted partners to find out what can you do to start thinking about.